Well, hello, everyone. Time to expose the glories and horrors of people that sell their soul to rock and roll. So I hope you're all ready for an interesting conversation. Tonight we're going to have our mellifluous, lovely Deb Johnson saying more than in the background because she's got a lot of stuff to share tonight, don't you, Deb? She's in the background somewhere going, Fair, shut up. And then we've got the enlightening, quite stupefying, drop them demon dead in your tracks, on the street, man on the spot, M16 ministry kind of guy, Michael Norton.
Hey, definitely stupefying. That's good. I'll use that.
That's a clap for Deb, too. We don't want to take it for granted.
Yeah. And, of course, the lovely, the furry, the bearded, the boy, the man, the maestro. Who thought of this nonsense? Mr. Ken Deal. Pray us in.
Okay, wait, wrong one. All right. Name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him. And we humbly pray, do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who roam to the world seeking to ruin the souls. Amen. All right. In the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. You know, we're going to have to do a part 2 for this because I realized it's fun to research it in some disturbing kind of way about that because there's songs in the past. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I didn't get to dig up John Lennon's whatever this thing was, like a prediction of his death or something, where the name Michael David even shows up on one of those megaphone English voice type things. Was that backwards masking or just something in the background? I don't remember. It's still kind of the thing. Anytime something, we'll just say demonic dealings or selling your soul for rock and roll, relating to, the pop music industry, rock, that sort of thing. Sorry to the country folks fans out there, to rather the people that don't like country music. No, we're not going to play Hank Williams Jr. backwards. Can you think of any country songs? That's what's funny about it. Yeah, because they're pretty much straightforward,
Well, most country musicians and even folk artists, their roots were in, the land. Their roots were in God. Their roots were in, some of the folk artists, older folk artists, maybe not so much God, but their roots were basically in honoring their land, the Creator, guns, God, and Bible. So I think if you played their stuff backwards, they'd probably be threatening to kick your fanny whacker off their property if you ate their turnips. But I'm just guessing.
I just thought it's like, how the...
Get the girlfriend back and the dog back alive, yeah.
Thank you.
The word Satan said so commonly, I think the only time you'd hear it in a backwards masking of a country song, it'd be, Hillary is Satan. Something like that. Anyway, welcome to the show tonight. I think everybody understands about what subliminal means. I think you want to talk about the backwards masking first and go into the dark aspects of actually openly selling your soul to the devil, which... should we flip a coin on that one? It's up to you guys. We could spin the big wheel. All right, let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, we will talk about... lose a turn. Oh, okay, well, so much for that. So we'll do the backwards masking first. And we have some dark tales also. And we'll get some comments on the second hour. It's kind of a regular thing, isn't it, Farrah? We just have people call in or comment from the chat room.
I'm hoping so.
I think
a lot of people have no power in the East, and a lot of people are struggling, with internet and stuff like that. Yeah, a lot of people are down. And like Deb, I think, Deb, you were telling me that another storm is headed your way?
For Saturday, yeah.
But this is one I wanted to play right here. Listen to this and see if anybody remembers out there. Most of us old folks out there know what this one is, unless you listen to classic rock stations now. Okay, since we don't have all the time in the world, I'm going to stop it right there because that's the part we wanted to listen to. Now, a little interactive thing from the chat room and from the board as well. You know, do you hear how they have this kind of a spooky kind of music going on in this thing? Doesn't it sound satanic? Like you're going to, you know, it's like it surely must be a satanic mass. Farrah, you're going to be hearing some of these for the first time, I hope, because I need some fresh feedback from the chat room and you know, to hear what people think they hear or hear their opinions, and at least, you know, and so do you remember hearing that song plenty of times in the past, Farrah?
Nope.
That's ELO, Electric Light Orchestra.
And I loved ELO, so I don't remember that.
I had that album too. I had it. Had it on vinyl.
Yeah, I forgot what the name of the album was.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
You know, the only album I ever tried to listen to backwards was Red Door by Rolling Stones, because I love that song. I mean, it really sounded like, you know, you're heading to the dungeon. I'm like, okay, what's all this backwards stuff? So I was like trying to play it backwards, but you know how you can't get a record player to play fast enough? It's like, I gave up. It's like, how stupid. So I just sat on it and I pushed myself across the wood floor and had fun.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, and
that's what we did for fun at the time. You know, we pushed each other around on records on a wood floor because you decide we didn't.
Never thought of that before. And you waxed the record or the floor first?
Both.
Anyway, some people started exploiting it. They said that the Beatles were doing it as kind of an experiment instead of it accidentally coming up. But let me play this first, and we'll give that little detail there. And Michael, I think all of us are old enough on the show. It's a matter.
I don't know. Deb's awfully young. She may not remember some of this stuff.
What's vinyl?
Vinyl. Yeah, I missed that 45? Vinyl on the scratchy, scritchy sound.
I miss throwing at my brother's head like a frisbee. It'd bounce off and go, ow!
So when you play it backwards, instead of it being accidental or something satanic, they're just messing with you. Here's what it is.
The music is reversible, but time. Turn back. Turn back.
Turn back. I'm telling you, even that turn back. It sounds like what you'd hear one of those ghosts from a corny story, you know, like turn back. Oh yeah, okay, I already took. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Remember the haunted forest? Turn back now while you can. So they did that on purpose to make fun of it. I was trying to dig this up. There's another song by ELO, but the phenomenon where it's legitimate can happen by two ways. They could purposely do it by two ways, and we split off again. And the two ways to do that purposely, it's obviously to flip it over, you know, because they use reel-to-reels, and then record something on there, a little subtle, sometimes with a low voice or whatever, a megaphone like the Beatles. And the other way is, of course, the purposely doing by speaking backwards purposely. And Crowley promoted this stuff. He said, do everything backwards. Anybody remembers hearing the most evil man in the world who's now deceased, that many of these paranormal types follow, not knowing, you know, that the Keys of Solomon and all that stuff is evil. And this is Aleister Crowley. Why would they call him the most evil man in the world if you follow the Keys of Solomon and it's good to go through a house and cleanse it with the lesser spell of banishment, for example? I mean, there's a reason they called him the most evil man in the world. And so there's people who know what words, and you can practice it just like anything. You learn another language. One of the nicknames is Witch Language. I know there's an official name on that, but we didn't get that far on it. So they can do it purposely by speaking certain words backwards and phrases. But
hey, they're talking about Kiss in the chat room. How bad Kiss's songs were, and I didn't realize Paul Stanley was such a little cretin. He had to like embed his music.
Okay, anyway, it gets more darker and mysterious to some degree even. But okay, so that's the first one, purposely doing it by speaking backwards, and the second one, you know, and when it's intentional. The second one is when you actually flip it over and record it direct. And some of those hardcore death metal bands have done that. You know, you don't obviously need to flip over a song where they're saying God hates us all, one of those Swedish death metal bands, you know. I mean, some of them are so direct. Slipknot, it's like, what do you need to flip them over for? We already know what they're going to say forward. So who cares what they say backwards? I think it's more mysterious when people think, hey, a rap artist just said that? You know, it's no surprise with Jay-Z or something, but... So, okay, that's an intentional. Now, the unintentional is what they say if you're, doing meditation, which is what the Beatles did a lot of that stuff. That Eastern religion stuff was popular then. If you're doing hallucinogenic drugs, satanic rituals or whatever, anything that puts you in some subconscious state where it's not you writing it. And this brings us to the story of Jimmy Page, and I think this is probably a good time to because this relates. I want to build on Jimmy Page real quick there, Deb. Okay, and we don't have to tell the whole story, I guess, if it not really panned out.
Yes, I tell half of it.
yeah. So Jimmy Page, we know who Jimmy Page is. Take it away, Deb. And how does Jimmy Page possibly relate? We'll get to that after you start telling and weeding it out for us and leading it up to it.
All right. Well, my son was planning to go to London, and he said to me before he left, he goes, "Mom, if I meet Jimmy Page," he goes, "I could die tomorrow as long as I get to meet him," because that was his idol.
Yeah.
And Jason did get to go to London, and he did meet Jimmy Page. They hung out for a while, and I guess they did cruise by Aleister Crowley's place. Jason also partied with Jimmy, and lo and behold, Jason was murdered by a woman.
Let's skip it ahead there a little bit, Deb, but we can...
Yeah, well, I skipped ahead because, well, my son did make a deal with the devil to play guitar. We had bought him a Les Paul guitar for his confirmation when he was 15, and he didn't know how to play. And then one day I heard him just, wailing on it and just playing all kinds of songs. And I go, "I haven't even gotten your, your class together,
Yeah, no lessons.
He goes, "That's okay. I'm all right, Mom." I said, "Well, why are you playing so well?" And that's when he told me he made a deal with the devil. And I said, "After all we've been through, you reverted back to that?" And he goes, "I wanted to learn how to play instantly."
Oh my gosh.
That's something.
And it worked for him. He's no longer here, but he learned how to play.
We know the end result. Yeah. And it's interesting. How many people are just going to go fly to UK and then meet Jimmy Page and hang out with him and then go to his castle? He bought Aleister Crowley's mansion.
Yeah.
And Deb, you can tell a little bit more about...
And Jason gave me the phone number of Jimmy Page's, and he said, "Only call me if it's an extreme emergency, like if something happened to his son or his grandparents or whatever." And so I came across it about 3 weeks ago, and so I put it in his box. I have the box of his things.
Yeah.
Only call his number in emergency. I've never called it. I have no plans on ever calling it.
Yeah. Wow. And of course, Deb, I guess it's appropriate to also not just learning how to play like a virtuoso in a short time, a matter of days or weeks, correct? It's just
I guess when he made the deal, he had to give up something special. And the devil, always comes for a soul.
Always.
Always. And so I guess, he felt that was the right thing to do because he wanted to see if it was real. Does it really work? How teenagers are.
Yeah.
So bad, yeah.
Right. But then he kept this up. And then he got into tarot cards. He lived his life by tarot cards.
Wow.
And, it just went on from there.
And then his success further validated in the way that how ironic.
Yeah, he played all over. He played in Nashville. He was in different bands. I mean, he was on YouTube with, quite reputable people. And, he got what he wanted. But in the end, he lost. He lost everything.
That's true.
And that's the way like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin.
Right.
I'm not going to say
That's why
Bruce
I
Lee,
always
but
tell people, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it.
Yep.
it's such a short time on this earth, and compared to all eternity. Say prayers for Jason, everybody out there. We don't want to ever assume someone in hell like when they commit suicide, and not offer prayers when you can keep them from going to hell by offering prayers. Even after they've already passed, God knows what's
That's
going to
right.
be offered. So, and
That's right.
yeah, you never want to assume either that when a person dies that they were good. Good enough to go straight to heaven. I mean, because a lot of people are really good at faking it. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the moral of the story. And your son, great kid, boy.
Yes.
You have such a strong desire.
Oh,
And
yeah, and he was loved by everybody
Yeah.
in the community. And even by the whole entire family. And, it was, I expected this to happen to him. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks before he had passed, he was in my kitchen, leaning on my counter. And I said, Jason, I don't see you living a long life. And he goes, Mom, why do you talk like that? Everything you say comes true. He goes, why do you talk like that? I said, it's because of the company you keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And guess what happened?
Yeah?
Okay,
you
Deb.
are just so humble, Deb. That's what I
Yeah.
love about you. You're just so humble. And I don't really think you understand the powerful testimony as a mother, as one of the faithful, as someone that continuously prays no matter how much it hits the fan. I don't think
Oh,
you
definitely.
realize.
Yeah.
And and I even mentioned it today. You could hate the sin, but you have to love the sinner, and you have to pray for the sinner.
Yeah.
That's true, sweetie.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, the demise we'll get to later on, but like I said, everybody should never rule anybody out. That even when the Hollywood stars died, it might have been your favorite star, and they might have touched you in a movie. Don't count them out in this life or in the next. That's God's ultimate mercy too, and that's their benefit for exposing them. Their talents in movies and touching people, is that they get reflection like Michael Landon when he died. I think people remember Highway to Heaven or Little House on the Prairie. And then you hear later on that he was not so nice to, his wife or whatever, his ex-wife. I don't. Sometimes it's better we don't know that stuff because it turns people away from the idea of praying for the guy. Or maybe it does the opposite and says, hey, maybe I better pray for him and not assume he's in heaven.
Exactly.
Anyway, thanks for sharing that, Deb. Prayers for Jason.
Yes.
And it's possible. And like I said, this life's short. Don't sell your soul and then spend all eternity in the fire. You're taking a huge risk, and don't assume people are going to pray for you or know to pray for you or anything like that. Even just like a suicide, it's a living suicide to make a pact like that.
Absolutely.
Now here's "Stairway to Heaven" with probably the clearest lyrics in here. First, playing a portion of it forward.
Oh, one of my favorite songs.
Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on.
Something I didn't mention. Yeah, this is a great sing-along song. This one came to Jimmy Page. It's like he just woke up, he cranked it out in 15 minutes. The whole song, lyrics and everything. And if you listen to the song, it's got a little reference to, witches and stuff like that, You read the lyrics and you know what you're looking for on the forward side. He even says the piper's calling you to join him. Well, the piper, Satan's often referred to as the piper. They show him with he looks like Pan, with playing a piper, and then the piper gets you to follow him from the music. So that's one of the things that they use for rock and roll, is that the music helps to steal your soul, that you follow the piper because you like the music, and the music has a message. Okay, here's that same phrase backwards that he was singing there. Now listen, see if you can pick it out. Okay, back here, here's a... Okay. I'm going to play this one by right here because this is the most clear. Okay, it's not it, sorry. Here's to my sweet Satan. I mean, does that sound clear to you guys out there?
Yeah, I heard
clear
that,
to
Ken.
Zach
Very
Reagan
clear.
and EVP.
I wish I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really.
You
And the
know
chorus
that,
repeats. It's clear.
It sounds
See,
clear.
this,
almost like
this
a-
is the problem. I'm going to tell each and every one of you make a really good point here.
We'll make a sick prayer in the show.
Yeah, we're going to have to end definitely end the show with prayer. When you're first born, you're born out of your mother's womb. This is how smart and this is how brilliant Satan is. He doesn't need to introduce anything to you you have not seen, you have not tasted, you have not experienced. Because all humans, from the time of their birth, even if they had a difficult birth and they were separated from their mother, and as a tiny human, if you experience some form of anxiety, the devil can imitate that emotion at the drop of a hat. When you expose yourself to anything, whether it's severe violence, watching somebody get beat up, watching a murder, watching a rape, watching pornography, anything that you either accidentally or intentionally expose yourself to can and will be used against you by the spiritual realms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it came out of my mouth. Ooh, I wish I didn't hear that, because it's like, ugh, now I got to pray I don't have to listen to that again. And it's not so much Satan, it's all his minions, because they watch, they gather this information, and then they just spit it out to you at the most inappropriate moments. You might be deep in meditation, then all of a sudden you're hearing, Satan loves you, and you're like, what the heck is that? Or, oh, think about that pie. You think you're losing 10 pounds? You know what? You only gain an ounce. Just go have a piece of that pie. Stupid stuff like that. And you think, nope, that's not that big of a deal. It's just a small, fleshy temptation. It's not. It's kind of like, how they always call marijuana the gateway drug? Well, the things of Satan, it's like I was explaining to my son, before we went to adoration. It's the little tiny stepping stones that take us to take bigger leaps, to the bigger stepping stones, in thinking we can do more, thinking we can be more, and give us a false sense of security. And this is what this little stuff is. It's folks, this is why we say you really got to be careful with EVPs too. You don't want to expose yourself to too many of them, because just like anything else, moderation in all things. So I just want us to say that, everybody, please don't go playing records backwards. Don't be looking for after if you listen to this. Please don't think we're encouraging you to do that.
Yeah.
Because we don't want anything in your mind that can lead you to go, ooh, I wonder about, I love the Eagles album, or, oh, I love Journey's. I wonder what it sounds like backwards. Please don't. You might not be able to unhear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no, it does apply too. Everybody watch Ghost Hunters and these other shows where they tell you what it says, and you don't hear it don't watch and try to figure it out on your own before they show you, because the same thing happens here. And a perfect example of that is, like the power of suggestion, and not just the dangers of listening to EVP and trying to pick your brain into digging deep into white noise to hear voices. That's like channeling. But this is a different thing right here. Let me give you an example right here. When I watched the video, I'm like, oh my gosh, he is saying that. I want to see if you hear what he says. I want to see what people say in chat room first real quick. I'm going to play this. This is a political figure, we'll say.
Sounds like Obama. Sorry, that came out of my mouth.
Okay, what do you guys hear on that one? Anybody hear anything in particular?
Yep. Thank you, enemy. Whatever it is, yep.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, enemy. Thank you.
sometimes whenever it's pointed out, the more subtle and kind of like less dominant parts of the word can be dragged out and said better. Well, let me play the second part of it, just so I give you an example here. Wait a minute. Here's what he says.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
No, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now we got to pray for Ken now. Here we go.
yes, we got to pray for Ken. We're going to have to pray over him.
Well, you guys, does it sound like he's saying, "Thank you, Satan"? Okay. Well, see, if you don't put that up on a screen and let people read that, you listen to it and it's like, what's that? Might say. I don't really suspect that they came up with that catchphrase for that. But that just tells you how people will look. There's one guy, he just keeps playing records backwards over and over. He thinks it's going to reveal something about them. So he revealed, the something, a little obvious in a statement, and then repeats it over and over again. Be careful. Don't let people tell you what it says. Be the judge for yourself, first off. I mean, if you ever hear this again. But like I said, don't obsess over it. Like I was saying the one time, this guy posted an EVP some time ago in this group called, this website called IamHaunted.com. And he says he's hearing spirits. Hey, check this EVP out. It's fantastic. You won't believe the things. No one heard anything. We're like, wacko. And it's because if you obsess over this stuff, you'll start to pick it out in a way that the oppressed people hear, or schizophrenics, hear voices that's pulled out of thin air, not necessarily through white noise of an EPP or a lot of static or noise or anything like that. So I'm just putting that into this. That's why, and one of the reasons why you will start to hear, the Satan name and everything. So it's rather strange. Farrah mentions the mother of the drug, so I thought.
Another one busts the dust.
Ooh.
Another one busts the dust. Ow! Another one busts the dust.
That's such a fun song.
Another one busts the dust.
Okay, now listen.
Don't destroy my song for me. Oh.
Okay, listen to what
That
it's.
was my mother's favorite song. She used to roller skate to it.
I know, me too. I used to get down and do the electric slide on the skates, man. I was grooving. And now Ken's going to destroy it. Yeah.
That's right. That's my job. Ready, here we go. You hear what that said? What'd that sound like?
Sound like I want another glass of wine.
No. Come on, Mike. Anybody? Deb? Anybody chat room that hasn't heard that before?
No, I went too fast, though. What was it?
Yeah.
One more time. Smoke marijuana?
Yep.
That's what I heard.
That's it.
God.
It's fun to smoke marijuana.
Well,
See, when I say it, it's a lot more clear, but the marijuana thing is probably one of the most unique and distinctive words. What are the odds? Everybody was so obsessed with it then, too. It's like, everybody did except me. I wasn't never into that stuff. But that was Queen on that, and instead of just pulling something out of thin air, some of these things just don't make any sense at all.
Mm.
Now, when they do them, like I said, with the intention of doing it, either to confuse you or put a message, I'm certainly, I don't think he did this on purpose either way. And I know that, just as you can get inspired to find your keys, from your guardian angel, if you are in the music industry and you're not serving God, so to speak, that you're going to easily get influenced by, the temptors. And they're going to give you lyric ideas when you're writing a song. And they know what words are backwards and forwards and how to craft them, into sentences. In the same way we think that that's probably why Stairway to Heaven has a message forward and backwards. So there's so many of these things, and I only try to pick the clear ones, and rather than just the controversial ones.
Ken, when Robert Plant wrote that song, Stairway to Heaven,
Mm-hmm.
do you remember when his son died? He was 3 years old. He drowned in the family pond.
No, I don't remember that. Share that with us a little bit.
Well, he had a 3-year-old son, a little blonde-headed boy, cute. He was really cute. And he drowned.
Oh,
and
my
I think
gosh.
that's when he wrote that song, Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, I didn't know that part of the history. Well, I
that
thought
goes
Jimmy
to the
Page wrote the
other than
lyrics
you
and
can.
I thought Jimmy Page wrote the lyrics and the music on that.
At least Fidel remembers that.
At least Fidel. Thanks, Fidel.
Okay, did Jimmy Page write the lyrics and the guitar? Obviously, the guitar, but yeah, I don't.
Fiddy said I thought he had a stomach illness.
Robert. We have a plant here. I call Robert. Robert the plant. I told my kids that, and they didn't get it. Yeah, Led Zeppelin. It's like, you know, we love that song. I mean, I sing that one at karaoke, "Stairway to Heaven." I did a good cover on that one. So I mean, that's one of the voices that I can do well. You know, when you do cover songs, you should imitate the song or do it better. Which is not easy to do it better, of course. You know, they try on American Idol. Even more to help distort.
Oh, no.
Oh, I did find the Beatles song. It's because I didn't put the name of the Beatle on here. But more we're talking about when they did things on purpose, and, you know, you're wondering, what the heck were they doing with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band? I mean, that's all over the place. The first one you see when you type in something on YouTube, it seems like the one that pops up the most is the Beatles.
Yeah.
They even credit the Beatles with the ones who purposely did that, like the first band who did that. What else is there? The Beatles doing all that stuff. And anyway, this one might be the well-known one, but it's called Revolution Number 9. And here's the forward and the backwards on this one.
I've got a piece for you I'm going to play off the Beatles album. It's the White Album, and the song Revolution Number 9.
Number 9, 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 number 9.
Okay, there's another piece on there. Listen. Okay.
Both of those sections were forward.
They were both forward. Okay, let's play that backwards and see what we hear.
So Turn Me On, Dead Man. The other sound during
Turn Me On, Dead Man?
Yeah, you know.
That was some weird French thing. Miondeman.
Oh, my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know what, you know, what can you build around that?
I don't know.
That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah.
Get out in the buzzer.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
the guy...
How about the gong?
I don't want to...
Gong, the gong.
Gong, let's get the gong.
I got a gong somewhere around here.
Yeah, you are a gong, honey.
The other one they played was just too much noise, so and it says "Let Me Out." It's "Let Me Out" played backwards, and it says it a couple times. Let me out, let me out. And well, there's some conspiracy theory, and this is one for Kevin about Paul McCartney was murdered or something, and then they replaced him in an exact. You know, they must have done plastic surgery. I don't know what. He was replaced with a double, you know, a look-alike. And, you know, Turn Me On, Dead Man. It still doesn't make sense. Even if...
No, it's kind of crazy.
It's like,
yeah.
Okay, you know, I mean, maybe the guy's last name is Deadman. I don't know that they're talking about. But why would you purposely even do that? Well, you know what the guy said in that clip there? He said that he tried to reproduce it because one guy did reproduce, you know, the number 9. And that's the way he did it. And he had a really deep, you know, 7-foot-tall guy voice, and he was able to do it, you know, with the number 9. But this guy says he said number 9 in the tape, and he couldn't get it to sound like that. And he said it's something to do with the English accent. You know, that the English accent somehow made that phrase sound like "Turn Me On, Deadman."
It reminds me of Nick Goff's, was it Geo Box on his show? It doesn't make any sense. Number 9, you know, that's what it sounds like.
I know, that's pretty much what it is, too. That, you know, when he tells you what it says, you're like, oh, yeah, I can hear it now. And it's always been funny, like I said, with the Ghost Hunters, that they put on the screen with the text what it's saying, and then the other guy says, it sounds like it's saying, help me. You know, and I don't hear anything. You know, so he's a fan of Star Trek because I heard that machine say Chekhov. You know, I mean, it's like, be careful what you wish for. How about, you know, you look for something too hard, you'll find it, even if it doesn't exist. We'll call that a Dealian phrase there. You know, you got your Nortonisms, we got our Dealianisms. I'll leave the comical names department to my wife. She's better at that, like you are.
There we go. Yep.
So, one that is Styx played in St. Louis back in the late 70s with REO Speedwagon, and they recorded it live. And they had to mention, because their controversy was out there around that time about the backwards masking. You know, it came up again in the 80s because more songs popped up, obviously, and they were going after Stairway to Heaven and the Beatles. Guys were doing lectures. It was circulating around on cassette tapes, not so much on TV, on, you know, real-life documentaries, and it was just the broadcast channels, you know, because the 70s. No cable, no satellite. And the song was Snowblind, and they spoke of it in there and says... he even mentions that there was some controversy surrounding it, saying there was satanic backwards messages on it, you know, and he says that we're going to do this next song, and the devil had nothing to do with it. So they even acknowledged it. So here's what it is. I'll play it backwards first, just to throw you off a little bit.
Oh, you're such a bad boy. Oh, wow.
That one's kind of hard to hear. I might have to turn it up a little bit or anything. And let's see. All right. Okay, did you hear that part? It's like, ooh, Satan moves in our voices. That sound pretty clear? Maybe it's not voices, but it sounds like an accent, like voices instead of voices, you know.
Or voice sauce.
Yeah.
Soy sauce. Smooth throw soy sauce.
And of course, this is...
Life's not pretty.
Oh my.
That's forward.
I try so hard to make it so.
Don't you think it's flipped over and it says that? You know, I mean, this is the forward we just played.
Wow.
But Styx is goofy. This is, you know, come sail away, babe, I'm leaving. You know, and all that one.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
Don't play that one backwards.
No. We had Styx, ELO, Queen, all my
Oh,
childhood
don't
ones.
do that to Styx. I'll cry.
Dennis DeYoung's the Catholic boy married to his wife.
Oh my gosh!
The same
I thought he was
woman
going
for
to
his whole
destroy
life.
my world, Deb. I was going to have
Jen
him.
keeps doing this, I'll have nothing to listen to.
Thank you, thank
No
you.
journey, that destroys my stuff.
I know. It's like, what's next? Oh my gosh! Is he going to hit Air Supply now? I'm
my
all
God.
out of love.
I don't want to hear an Air Supply one. That one?
That's for part
Or Loverboy. One of those two.
Oh, please, not Loverboy.
Ken, you want to hit on Foreigner while you're at it?
Exactly. Destroy Foreigner, please.
It's ruined our
Oh
childhood.
my
Go
god.
Funny you should mention Air Supply.
Oh no, you did
here we go.
not.
No, I
you
just
did
kidding.
not. I'm
Listen
gonna
to
go
when
run
I
screaming.
played a phrase, all out of love, backwards. No, I'm just kidding.
You better be. I'm going to clock you with my dog.
Probably says Beelzebub or something.
Boy.
Bad boy.
Okay, let's see if you recognize. Now we're moving into a different genre, so you guys are off the hook for the show for the time being. No Doubt singing this song. I'm playing it right now. So when you hear the beep, 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 it'll switch sides. It'll flip over. What did that sound like? That sound like something? Can you get
I
any more?
love Satan? Is that what she said?
Wow.
Okay. You know, when you listen, it doesn't sound like it's backwards at all.
Uh-uh.
Now listen to this. Here's what it is.
Oh my gosh, I remember that song.
Yeah.
It's My
Yeah,
Life is actually...
And I love that thing. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. So that's some of the modern stuff. And there's a few of
Wow.
them I don't have for No Doubt because I don't want to do all of the ones on that stuff. But you know, we already spent 45 minutes on this show already. And so, Does it get much darker than this? That's the big question. You know, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of these hardcore bands, and I don't want to play them because
you were so bad.
It's obvious, you know. It's obvious. By the way, do you think the dog lets out? We're like Michael Savage. We have a poodle wandering around in the studio. Well,
that's better. That's better than that. You guys all saw that video of that foreign correspondent for the BBC, and it's like, oh my gosh, that so reminds me of Ken and I trying to do the show, you know, a couple years ago, and you're on the microphone and you're trying to talk, and somebody's toddling in, going, you gotta tuck me in. Where's my water? But this is live video, you know. How are you going to stop? And that little kid is just so adorable. It's like, come on, Daddy, come on, Daddy. And he's just trying to be professional, knowing that somewhere the camera might pick the kid up. So he's like, he doesn't like knock the kid down. He just gently does the dad thing, puts the hand on the chest and says, nope, you got to back up now, dude.
Oh my gosh. And the little brother or sister comes in the walker.
You remember that? Oh yeah. I know. That was like the ghost. That was like the ghost in the machine. It was like da 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 in the little flying saucer in the background. And then the mother, oh my gosh, the mother, I thought the mother was a child. She slid in there like she was on all fours on a mission. I thought she was going to crack her head on the desk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can this get any better? Oh, and you know, the poor guy, I mean, they've got like instant fame over it now, but it was just... It's such a typical family moment, and there's nothing you can do but just smile. And he felt, the guy was so mortified. I don't know if anybody's ever been in news or radio, you know, to where, you know, you've got to answer, you know, to, you know, your financial and your programming director and everything. He was mortified. He thought he was going to be fired. He was just like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. Because how unprofessional is that? You know, having the toddler, steal the show.
She just brought him in his lap and just let her sit there, you know.
Oh my gosh. You know, and I don't watch, you know, popular news very often. And since, you know, Ken's destroying all my favorite shows and bands and everything, I might as well, you know, there's one of the morning shows, you know, with Good Morning America or something like that. They're talking to one of a popular... I'm not sure what his name is. He's a regular. He's got a night spot. He's got a radio show. Anyway, this guy's getting smart. He drags, you know, we got a cute daughter. He drags his cute daughter on the red carpet and makes her hold the mic. And who's going to say no to him? His cute little girl. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's exploitation number one. But nobody's admitting that. Oh, my gosh, how crazy.
Mm-hmm. I used to enjoy watching American Music Awards and the Grammys. But anyway, I watched it when Kansas won an award for Leftover Chore. You know, and ELO going up there with and they had that massive hair like they tried to make an afro. Remember that? That was a different way that white people were trying to look like, you know, African Americans. But those were the days, weren't they? It went downhill just like a lot of them, you know. And everybody, you know, might know the older folks that MTV used to actually be music television once.
Yep.
You know, even though that was much later than Kansas Leftover Tour album winning an award in 1976. You know, flash ahead to the 90s when it was MTV, and they used to have all these videos. When you watch the videos, you get something totally different. That's what's interesting about when we get the real deals rolled out. We're going to be able to play clips of things instead of just playing audio clips. And
but not of Air Supply.
No
you
Air
can't
Supply.
Ruin the Air Supply.
With him making the rock and roll, you know, symbol of horns, whatever that thing that they do. I was playing. I got this multi-track recorder in the 90s, and because I realized I can play songs backwards just by flipping it over, I tried some out. You know, I put Rodney James Dio in there, and and I think it was Last in Line, and I don't remember. I even copied it to another tape and played it to my friends, and you know that there was some satanic message in there, and it sounded too clear when it's a sentence, or it's when it's very clear. It's just like unmistakable. But it took me a while to pick out the ones that I didn't think that were that great. Because if you look for it too hard, you find it. And some nuts are out there just flipping everything over. You're an Air Supply fair. And it'll make you feel better. The Air Supply didn't come up. But Blue Oyster Cult did.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Oyster Cult did. I don't have that clip.
They didn't even try to hide it, though.
I was looking
The
for
lyrics.
it. The cut's called "You're Not the One," and supposedly it says something in there. Well, the quotation here is, "Furthermore, our Father who art in heaven, Satan," something like that. And it says that they actually recorded this at 1/8 speed and recorded it backwards, as some sort of controversy. Yeah, let's just go ahead and go to break now. What do you think, Farrah? Everybody?
Yeah, we're going to go to break, folks. Don't go anywhere. Please remember, tip your bartenders or waitresses, tickle your dogs, rub your own tummy, whatever it takes. Don't go nowhere.
And Deb,
Demonology today. And Deb, we're calling you right back, okay?
Deb's supposed to call us. That's what I told her, because she can do it discreetly at any time. Call back, and then I just take it in, just like I do a caller. You don't hear a ring or anything, because it sounds like I'm doing dialing for dollars or something. Like
You are
I'm calling
dialing for
Miss
dollars.
Johnson Deb, and we're going to see if she's going to answer the phone. Can you answer this question correctly? And then because you hear the ring, and it's just this disruptive. So Deb, you got to call in. All right, okay, call in during the break. We'll be right back after this sandwich.
That's a quick sandwich, and I know you can polish it, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to.
Michael's like, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to get one, too, now. You guys are terrible.
Michael, lay it
Okay,
down. We'll
just
go to
get
the
some
sub shop.
cheese, please.
Cheese time.
I know,
please.
it's cheese time. On a bit of toast point, please.
Toast and cheese.
That's-
Maybe some biscuits with that.
That's right, and some milk in my tea. And we're all ducky.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, we'll be right back after these messages, whatever they are. I don't even know what they are. Could it be more of the same?
The music is reversible, but time is not. Turn back. Turn back. Turn back. Turn back.
Welcome back. Demonology Today is live for the second hour. We'll post the phone number at some point if you want to call in, tell a story, share something, comment. Thank you for the participation from the chat room. One of the things that we've heard over the years is I think there's even a Judas Priest song that particularly made the news, and one of them was Ozzy Osbourne's Suicide Solution song. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because we're talking about the Don't Fear the Reaper song. When I was riding around with friends and the song came on the radio, and it was later Saturday night, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. It just dawned on me. It's talking me into suicide. Not me particular. I never really had an issue with depression. But the song is talking you into suicide. And it came through almost in a very strange way, because it's kind of a has this tone to it that's soothing in a way, even though it's rock and roll. It's kind of mystical, almost. But that's not the point of it, though. But all you have to do is read the lyrics. They're not quite about it. But the particular line that came to my head was, before, the idea of, don't fear the Reaper. Romeo and Juliet are together in eternity, Romeo and Juliet.
Oh,
40,000 men and women every day like Romeo and Juliet. 40,000 women every day. Redefine happiness. Come on, baby, don't fear. Now then it goes to telling statistic, goes to telling you, don't fear the Reaper, baby, take my hand. And it's saying, join me. And you'll be able to fly, which is what happens when you leave your body. It's like you get that sensation of flying, like some people experience in dreams. And that's what it goes through. And it's like here, but now they're gone. Came the last night of sadness, which is usually the preceding things in the steps. Depression leading to suicide. And it was clear she couldn't go on.
That's right.
Then the door was open and the wind appeared.
And the wind appeared, and then the curtains blew, and then he appeared, saying, don't be afraid. Come on, baby. Don't fear the Reaper.
So it's all about
and they
suicide.
started to fly.
Too bad. It's a great
and
song.
she became like they are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know that song by heart.
Yeah.
I know what he looks like, too.
So,
Jerk.
Yeah, then you look at the name and people's like, duh, Blue Oyster Cult? You know, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's gimmicks in rock and
And
roll.
I love
like,
oysters. Now you're disturbing my oysters.
Are there such a thing as blue oysters there, Farrah? I mean...
Yeah, there's Blue Points. Very good.
Oh, okay.
Their symbol is actually 666, wasn't it?
No way. Oh, my gosh. I never saw that, Michael.
It was that weird cross with the sixes going 3 ways.
Oh, that's gross. I'm glad I never looked. Oh.
Oh, yeah. I guess
It was on their album cover,
either.
wasn't it?
I never had their album. I just listened to it on the radio.
I saw it. Yeah, I remember I was an audiophile for when I was a kid, but I remember seeing the album.
Yeah.
They always joked about, like, oh, it's 666 on the cover, you know?
Yeah, we're a bit naive when we're younger, and maybe it's better because we're just trying to grow up. It's not like we can do anything. Like if you found out the mayor is actually a mob boss, I mean, what are you going to do? Go tell the press? You know, have them come and machine gun riddle your house and your family? You know, it's like, what can you do as a kid? It's better, you know, you don't worry about it. I mean, pray for the world peace, you know, and, you know, something like that. We're going to see the corruption everywhere. But I talk about back then, because some were blatantly obvious. And you wonder about the contracts with the devil, too, which we'll get into a little bit more later on. And why does the devil decide he's going to pull a plug on some people early? Did you guys see that movie, Oh God, You Devil? And it starts off with the first part of it, where some rock and roll singer comes right after the concert, goes into his lavish presidential suite at a hotel, and the devil comes to collect his due. I guess he made a shoddy deal. Gets taken out after his first concert or something, who knows. But, you know, it can be done. We did a show on in the past, referring to the Crossroads. Who was that? The blues singer. Johnny Walker? No.
Johnny Walker's good whiskey.
Who was, it's whiskey. No, it's not a blues singer, it's whiskey. What's the difference, right?
Yes, it is, Ken. It's Scotch. That used to be my favorite.
Exactly.
I can't remember. It's just like, you know, I don't
Back
not
in
like I
the
have
old
the,
days.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. Back in the younger days.
I don't have the original, you know,
On the rock.
blues or anything like that.
Is it Robert Johnson? Is that what you're talking about? Dude, sold his
Robert
soul?
Johnson, is that the one who did it? You know, everybody, and then everybody wondered if there was even a movie with Steve Vai and that Karate Kid guy, Ralph Macchio, I think his name is. Mm-hmm. That was pretty good. Of course, he wouldn't have beat Steve Vai on the guitar. I mean, if we know the devil can make you a virtuoso overnight, and, you know, that people really want... I think it's more than ever. I think the narcissistic traits that come from houses that seem to have divorce, a fatherless house. All the millennials, I swear, they're narcissistic. Just look at Facebook. You're going to want to be in a spotlight. What's a better way than selling your soul to the devil? And then, I can be a pop star just like Beyonce, you know, or I can have a band like AC/DC.
Look at what Lucifer's job was, too, right? What was his first job? He was the musician.
That was his first job?
Yep.
Yeah, he was first job on pipes and tendrils. Where was he? He was a built-in worship leader. Like that was angelic. Shore he was the angelic worship leader.
Oh, wait, Lucifer?
Yep, it was Lucifer.
I thought his first job was to get into a snake suit.
Ezekiel 14 or Isaiah 28, one of those two. It talks about how he has these pipes built into him for making music.
Wow, freaky.
Yep, I'll try to look it up while we're here. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
You know what you didn't do, darling? Mm-hmm. You didn't play any of my Paganini backwards.
What's
Devil's Violinist, Paganini.
What's it do? It say something with the violin?
Oh, yeah, but I'm not going to go there because I don't want you to ruin my Paganini, too.
Well, do it, too. Okay, well, yeah, that'll be worth it.
You are just...
I listen to what I call Tarzan music, and my wife plays, what are the names of those guys?
Which ones?
Il something.
Il Volo or Il Divo.
Either one. I call it Tarzan
One's
music.
the voice. Yeah. Tarzan music? Oh, please.
Because it's the, they're constantly yelling, it's like Tarzan when he does his Tarzan yell, Carol Burnett does so well. Oh, boy, yeah. So sorry to offend anybody who's a fan of opera out there. Opera.
It's not opera.
Hey, Chicago's playing at the Hammond Theater.
They're four Italian boys. They got inspired by the Three Tenors and decided to make it a foursome.
Three blind mice.
And it started off with Il Divo. I think Il Divo won some kind of award thing, and then
the voice,
Il Volo.
I
don't know because I don't follow that lame brain television game. But
lame brain.
Yeah, I just like music.
Well, don't worry. I'm not playing any opera backwards.
Sarah.
It's bad enough
Well,
words.
I absolutely, you know what? I was raised with Italian arias, and I was raised with Spanish sonatas and bagpipes and wacko music. So it's like, if he starts doing that, I tell you what, I'm going to go on strike. I'm going to go eat the whole block of cheese by myself.
I'll put it this way. I know what to look for the next show.
Sarah, I love all music except bagpipes. We had a next door neighbor.
Oh no! Tell me the story.
He came from Scotland. And we were great neighbors. I was a kid.
Did he
and
play
my
the
friends got
bagpipes?
along great with them.
Yeah.
But when he started drinking, he would start playing the bagpipes
Oh no!
at 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
Oh no!
And when we lived in the city back then, many years ago, you can really hear it. So ever since then, I've hated bagpipes.
Wow.
Well, when you got to wake it up to it, it's like, oh
I
my
don't
gosh.
even like to hear them at funerals. I hate bagpipes.
Oh my God.
They ruined it for me.
Oh, come on. Then we play those on the end of Star Trek 2.
No, yeah, that's right.
The Wrath of Khan. No, so you like accordion music, huh? You must be a... or maybe
No,
you
I
like
don't like
organ music. You
accordion
must be
either.
a Reggie Hammond fan. You and Arnold J. Rimmer from Red Dwarf. Anyway, this topic is really huge and endless. But so there's not much else to say. But music is an influence. The Piper is calling you to join him. I mean, it obviously can take you out too and talk you into suicide if it makes it sound glorious and and not such a big deal. And of course, you can extend your arm to a bony hand. That's the first part of the problem. Don't trust the Reaper. Did you see Ebenezer Scrooge, or even when Bill Murray played him in that one version, Scrooge? Did he reach up and like, oh, thank you for helping me up, Mr. Bony Hand? I mean, you're supposed to react negative. I never really understood the obsession over death and hell, because some of these bands that, they get to this hardcore thrash rock and roll stuff, they're just obsessed with hell and death and why would you look forward to go spending time in hell or hanging with monsters and stuff, even if you like monster movies a lot or maybe too much? I don't know. Got to be there to understand it, because I've never been suicidal before either. So, I got another song I'm going to play for you all.
Oh no! I would
You
never.
always hear the feedback from the microphone whenever that was me doing it.
And Fiddy's like, a survey says this is what Ken's gonna play. I'm gonna clock Fiddy.
Clean the clocks.
Oh.
All right, listen. This is for you rap fans out there.
Murder, murder, Jesus.
Wow.
The second part after the beep was the forward one. Did that make any sense? You think he's mastered the backwards language? This is Jay-Z, Beyonce's husband. One always
Wow.
making the triangles. Listen forward. Oh yes, I mean, so we're wondering what he's saying there. I guess someone out there might know what he's saying, or even know the song. What's the name of the song? Oh, it's called Lucifer 9. No coincidence? You can expect that from this guy. Why do people fall into this rap stuff? It all seems to go in there. Chaos, terror, hate, division. No, I'm not talking about the Democrat Party. I'm talking about the common denominator of Satanism. Divide and conquer. That's Satan who has that idea. They had Beyonce. They had more, no doubt. Obviously, they had Beyonce. They had Madonna. There was a song they played backwards, and they actually had it on the news back when Madonna's Justify My Love came out. And there was a line in there, it quoted from the Bible. It said, they say they're Jews when they're part of the synagogue of Satan, or whatever the line was. You guys remember that one?
No.
And it's kind of like this voice that was on the back, and there was this jungle music going on, and a female singer in the background, Justify My Love. And it's like you hear this kind of whispering voice, and they'll say they're Jews, and they're part of the synagogue of Satan. Then you hear
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Way weird, honey.
Even Madonna, but everybody expected anyway. Look at, what's funny about when you're hearing all these singers too, the female ones, they all sound alike. A lot of No Doubt and Gwyneth, whatever her name was, that brat named Alvarez or whatever. What's her name again? I don't. Avena. I don't. They all sound alike.
Oh, Iggy Azalea, is that the one?
Yeah, maybe.
But the real talent right now is in the sound engineering booth. They're the ones that make them sing. That's probably why they all sound the same.
Yeah,
I think you're right about that.
And good thing we did. Can't play. We wouldn't play the video anyway because most of them look like it's you're watching the Playboy channel or a Victoria's Secret commercial. That's all they're promoting. And they got really nasty ones that you play them backwards, and it's very clear, and it's like, oh, no, don't want that. It's not a family show exactly, but, it's you can expect it. That's what they were saying about some of these. If you turn the song upside down, that was called, and this one, it's kind of a sing-along, Hooked on a Feeling.
Oh, no way, you're not going to do that one.
No, I'm not, because they said that you can't play it backwards because it's so dirty. That they're, the Hooked on a Feeling. It's talking about, the other part of what rock and roll talks about,
Really? Yeah. One of my favorite songs from the old days.
Hooked on a Feeling. Look it up. Might have some fun with it. Some weren't so blatantly obvious, and that one, I don't know, it's like Paul Anka. There was another song that came out around then, Paul Anka's Having My Baby. And I don't want to play that one backwards. That was him and his wife's doing a duet. But they had some corny songs, Skyrocket and Flight, Afternoon Delight. Can you get any more obvious than that? Really? Do I have to play that backwards?
I like that song too. That was good.
That's going way back, isn't it? I think Farrah was just way too busy listening to somebody's music. She's always running around doing something. Getting into trouble somewhere, huh, Farrah?
Yeah, me and Taco Bell in the drive-thru, baby. Either that or it was the cops, because the cops always kept booze in their freezer. So I'd be like, in the neighborhood, I'm like, hey, you mind if I go in your house? No, go help yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, you figured it out. Make friends with the cops.
Of course. Yeah. They got your back. Of course. Besides that, you make them look good when you're nice to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything with them. All you got to do is be nice to them. And excuse me, what person doesn't like to be smiled and hugged and nice to? It's like it just takes a little bit of nice stuff. I just knew how to turn on the nice.
Well, it helped that you were a gorgeous model.
Nah, I wasn't gorgeous, but
well, your opinion.
I knew how to put my face on.
Psychological is what they're always working on, just like when we talk about aspects of demonology that they're working on us. That some people say, like with the suicide songs, were they gravitated towards a song because they related to it, or did they start listening to Ozzy Osbourne, came across Suicide Solution, fell asleep one too many times with the headphones on, and then become suicidal afterwards, or Don't Fear the Reaper or anything else? I didn't seem to make me want to commit suicide listening to those songs.
I never wanted to commit suicide. If anything, I was like, wow, that's cool. Mm-hmm. So you're stupid enough to listen to some voice in your head? Dang, you got no brain cells.
Remember how they treat violence in Hollywood? Like they ignore that, all of the immorality and sex and movies and stuff. Like that doesn't motivate you, and they have a population problem in their opinion. And but they worry that you see a Bruce Lee movie, you're going to go out and want to kill people or something. And that's been going on for a long time. So they, the gratuitous violence to some degree. But now it's even worse. The violence is worse than just guys fighting in a bar or whatever. When you have movies like Saw that are just, over the top with violent, cutting people's heads off or something like that. Something besides watching a war movie. I remember when that movie was, Steven Spielberg put out. It was very graphic at its time. Saving Private Ryan and Hamburger Hill and some others. They all decided they're going to jump on the bandwagon of the violent war movies and that kind of stuff. It's not the same thing though. But so, you remember how you hear this name Zozo? And it's like everybody's like, it's like one of the albums had that on there. The Z-O. Coda, it makes you rethink everything, their album covers and all that stuff. Now it's pretty obvious with Ronnie James Dio. He's like obsessed with this one little alien, demonic-looking thing with a kind of an alien face. And then on his first album, I had Rainbow in the Dark on there, which is kind of a weird song too. And he's got a priest like wrapped up in chains being thrown in a river or something like that. So it's funny the way people
never demonic.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like it's supposed to be, And then there's people who met Marilyn Manson, so he's a great guy. Supposed to be know him or whatever, and it was like, good grief. Well, then again, people blind in a lot of things, aren't they? And what they listen to, who they vote for, and they don't know the difference between good and evil. But how much can we tear it up? I think some people are a lot more weak-minded, so when they hear these songs, they're going to be more effective, including suicide songs, because they're more susceptible to the power of suggestion, even more easily coerced into doing things, even through their friends, what they see on TV. They play video games. How about that guy, with the red clown hair went in there and shot up a theater after seeing Batman or whatever? I mean, but they sensationalize and did they take Batman out of the theaters on the other ground?
I know.
Just because they were afraid that another psycho was going to come in, but there was an isolated incident. You're going to get that. The media is going to put it out there, The media, don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to the selling yourself for rock and roll. So one of the most famous things was Bob Dylan. Here comes, he's 15 years old, guitar strapped on his back, goes to the, whatever it was, the Festival of Supposed Love and Peace, Woodstock. It was pretty much a complete unknown, wasn't he? Like a Rolling Stone. Back then, he was only 15 years old, wasn't he? Something really young.
Yeah.
Was he 15?
He was young, whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah. His voice just changed so he could sing like a Rolling Stone. Didn't sound like a Rolling Stone. Good thing. But then again, if he sold the soul to the devil, wouldn't it just give him the right voice? Not like he was the greatest singer ever or something like that. But I always wonder why the guy never. He said, I don't own one copy of my albums. One to wonder. He didn't do any of it. Somebody else wrote it. One way or another. I wouldn't be proud of someone else's work either. That's that band Berlin used to hate to do that song, "Take My Breath Away," because they didn't write it, but they did anyway. And so you can see how musicians can be. That's the way real musicians are. When they didn't sell or sold the devil, doesn't mean that Berlin didn't. I doubt it. I doubt it, but it's hard to say. How far. Will you be a one-hit wonder and you get screwed by your Satan deal?
That's the way it works.
Like in "Oh God, You Devil," like that. Like I say in that movie with George Burns. Obviously, that guy got screwed in it. And somewhere there's probably a textbook on how to make good deals with the devil so you don't die the next day. Because it's like one of the preachers was saying they do that and then they go to great lengths for longevity, and actually that's supposed to be they include it in their whatever contract. So because he'll just take you out the next day and then cash in his chips, He's not going to take a chance that you'll run into the right street preacher or something and then he'll get you out of the contract. And getting out of the contract, that's another thing in itself. In fact, when you really have a contract,
Yeah.
instead of just some make-believe or something, that we got out there. I'm surprised we don't have a guy who's talking about, I was thinking about Tim Burns tonight. And
he didn't sing rock and roll, though, baby.
Yeah, he was a guy who had this dream to, work in Hollywood, with musicians, his favorite musicians he grew up with, and he did it. He didn't make a deal with the devil, though, but he started finding out about the creepy demonic side because they're metal musicians, and we had him on, I don't know, it was like a year ago now, wasn't it? Time slips.
It's amazing.
Deb, you remember, we had him a long time ago, Boy from Cape Cod. Book is on Amazon probably still.
Oh, yeah, he's still around.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't want to tell this whole story again. I guess we could pull him in, see how he's doing at some point. If I call him right now, I'll probably wake him up. He'll be half asleep. Who knows? He's another East Coast guy. He's over
Was that
there.
the guy who was in on the LA music scene? Was it that guy?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Okay.
Boy from Cape Cod. That's what the book's called. Of course,
That's about 3 hours for me, Ken.
yeah. Well, that's where he is now.
private.
He's living back in Cape Cod. Yeah, his dreams changed. It went from that to working at EWTN, when he actually got out of the Hollywood. But he discovered the Satanism aspects of it. It really creeped him out. There's pictures of him that we put on the website when we had him on with Johnny Depp and Roddy James Dio, just about everybody you could think of. And it doesn't look like hey, take a picture here real quick. And he's there. He's got a VIP pass because he's some sort of official, even with Universal Studios later on. So he's not there as some fan like a roadie or anything either, He's there as someone who works for the company. So he's at all the parties and everything. Everybody's got their
he
dream.
does manage to get in.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, huh, Farrah?
No kidding.
We'll get back to that again. Yeah, it's a shame. We had someone comment I put something up, and they made some kind of snide comment about, I used to have a heavy metal band, and I was like ready for it. Okay, we're going to get that more and more when we get out there on YouTube. We'll probably get some people that call themselves Christians or Catholics, and they're going to start criticizing us, because, oh, he used to have a heavy metal band. Oh, she used to be a model, or, something critical and along that lines. That's the way people are. But that was part of the walk of life. It was in the 80s. It wasn't in the 90s or after 2000. My wife was modeling until but they have to assume things with it, and just the same way with rock and roll too. I wasn't singing praises of Satan or doing lines of coke. I didn't do drugs. It wasn't my thing, like I said. But people are going to do that. And we don't want to do that with bands either. Like I said, Styx. I'm not sure I believe that. I don't know how that happened. But maybe it came to him in a way that, who knows, maybe the guys were, smoking and he got the idea for a song. And, because he was in that vulnerable state, a demon passed it to him so the song can get out there and get their message out. I wouldn't doubt it. In other words, I didn't want to, didn't plan on it. Like I said, I had a biography from Styx. It sounds boring, doesn't it? Yeah. There's an unofficial and there's an official version at the library, But Dennis DeYoung, he was like a lifer. He was married to his wife, he still is, same woman that he married, when he before he had the band. The Dennis DeYoung is the one who Air Supply sounds like.
I'm surprised you didn't play Beastie Boys. Somebody brought
Beastie
that
Boys.
up. Yeah.
Beastie Boys. What song has the backwards one on there?
I don't know.
Just real quick.
I don't know, since you're ruining everybody's music tonight.
What do you listen to, Ken? We want to go
exactly.
find
What do you listen to?
Dream
he listens
Theater.
to Dream Theater, supposedly. I've never heard him.
And old Queen Drake. And I like Styx and Kansas and all that stuff, sure. But I don't listen to Styx that much anymore. I'm going to go ahead and post the phone number off for the radio show if you'd like to call in and comment at this time. I'll keep it short and sweet in case somebody else wants to call in. Friends, countrymen, here's the number. 417-213-5599. If you're calling from overseas somehow, you have to dial a 1+. And we'll keep an eye on for the call. Anyway, thank you for listening tonight. We still have plenty of time left on this topic. Will it justify a part 2? I don't know if I really don't want to destroy everybody's have interest. And no, don't go burn all your rock music. There's some nutty people out there that, even the Beatles or something like that. Should you go burn it? Does it have a demonic attachment? Well, okay, that's
don't ruin it for everybody.
don't give all these people ideas. Supposedly, here's part of the record industry. Is there was a time when when it was this huge and monstrous, and they were signing people right and left. Didn't matter if you belonged to the right organization. We found out it's pretty much special interest owned all of the recording studios, and one of them was, of course, Satanist. The Crawley brand and the Brotherhood, who knows? The two brand of Satanists is like, there's the Anton LaVey, and then there's the one that's more heavy and generational and older. And the other one, and LaVey is obviously mainstream. And then you have, just particularly Jewish. So I didn't belong to any of them, so neither did anybody in the band. That's the problem. What am I going to do? I got to become a Protestant so I can get signed by a Christian organization or something. But they weren't that big back then. It was just Amy Grant and somebody else. I don't know. It didn't. Stryper, yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were even signed up with a Christian label or something. But it was very special interest. So if you didn't belong to any of those, and you weren't the right nationality or religion, or we'll say orientation, because they were taking the AIDS money that was supposed to be for AIDS research and curing AIDS, and instead they were opening recording studios and putting, we'll just say, news and events out to promote the gay and lesbian lifestyle. Fact. It's a money trail thing. Someone presented it who was actually gay, and they were complaining about it. When somebody supports promoting that, and trying to ease the public's opinion on it or whatever, they misappropriated the money. But they do that a lot of times. Remember, they had Band-Aid, and they made all this money, and then they give it to the African government. The African government just kept it safe. Thank you very much. Now we can buy more guns to dictate. It didn't go to any of the people, the poor people. The people who really needed it, was a crisis at the time, like it was in Haiti when they had that earthquake. I don't know. But when that happens, they don't know where the money goes or comes from. But those are huge events. So, got to watch out where you give the money to, that's for sure.
True.
I don't have anything on KISS tonight in particular. But you guys remember when they used to say KISS stood for Kids in Satan's Service?
Oh, no way.
Or Knights in Satan's Service? That's the funny thing, too. That's what reveals it right away. Someone else has, it stands for Knights in Satan's Service. Oh, the SS. Yeah, the SS. It looks like the SS the Germans used to wear in a uniform. Of course, those are Jews. Gene Simmons is Jewish. Like Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, both Trump supporters, by the way. Thought I'd throw that in there, but no, I don't have any. Which ones in particular were the ones that you spin backwards? You know that even Deborah Harry from Blondie has got one that you play backwards, and it's kind of creepy. She's an ex-Playboy centerfold or something, I think, right? So it's not like she needed to crawl her way to the top or something. Anyway, she was already there before she had the band. But I don't know why some people, go all those great lengths to sell your soul when you already had your foot in the door, like your father was rich.
Poor Deb. She's crying. All she can listen to is Knights in White Satin. So don't you dare say anything about that song.
I didn't lose Deb again, did I?
No, she's like mooning over that song, Knights in White Satin. That's so crazy. Deb, he's being objectively obtuse. Some songs.
Now that you've ruined every song that I like, Ken, it's like, don't open your mouth about Knights in White Satin.
I know. I worry about the next song he's going to do. Michael. What's your recommendation? Well, let me start off with this because I'm sure you're going to echo it. But when we have people that call us and say, hey, my life is in a trash can. My love life's in a heap. I'm all alone. I'm horrible. I'm having nightmares. I'm oppressed. I think there's something wrong with me. One of the first things we do is ask them, what's your environment? What are you listening to? What kind of music do you listen to? But we don't tell them not to listen to Knights in White Satin. We tell them to listen to uplifting music, such as classical, Christian, something that is going to make them feel positive because our emotions are so deeply ingrained in our flashbacks of experiences, things that are subliminal that we don't even know. But do you counsel people about music when you're counseling people?
Not so much about music. It usually doesn't go down that road there. Maybe other things, but music can be a component of it if it's brought up.
Yes.
But usually it's just not. It just like I said, it's their environment. They're doing drugs, whatever.
That's true.
What's all going on?
All
right?
part of the environment.
And drugs and music go together.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Yep.
Well, I think it's one of those cultural things about growing up too, because we're all saying, oh my gosh, Ken's killing my only childhood fantasy, that I ever had. On great music. I know even Denise is like, please don't ruin it for me, Ken.
We lost Queen and ELO in one night. It's just boom.
I know. It's like I will never ever be able to listen to him. I'll cry. Oh my gosh, Michael Bolton double barf. I don't think Michael Bolton. I'm sorry, but I really don't think that Michael Bolton has a clue which end is up or down.
Loves a woman.
I mean, he spent most of his life looking like a woman, and then he finally, cut his hair off after he dumped his lover.
I like Michael Bolton because it gave women an excuse to, have a line to approach me with. Everybody tell you look like Michael Bolton, so one for Michael Bolton, then they might not have had an icebreaker, so that's a good one. I didn't look like Fabio, and he was popular back then. So we'll have to dig up Foreigner and all these other ones.
Don't you dare.
Backwards. Yeah, I got one right here for it.
Yeah, just go for the kill. Chicago, Journey, and Foreigner.
Oh,
get it over
no.
Just finish it.
I know. Just make everybody go to bed crying.
Even the Carpenters can?
No, don't you touch the Carpenters. Just like me.
I want
oh, my gosh.
They want
Play that backwards, studio director.
Stop it.
You'll be surprised.
Poor little Carpenter. She killed herself by not eating. Yeah. It's so, what does that say? Did she sell her soul to rock and roll? No, her soul was already sold before she even started the business. That's a sad thing. You don't eat yourself to death, and then puke with anorexia because you're so afraid of every little ounce because, you're selling yourself for... No, her soul was already troubled before she even started the music business.
That's a good point again. That comes right back to that. It's like, are they attracted to the music as a listener on a song that they relate to? Like they're suicidal, so they automatically relate to Ozzy Osbourne's Suicide Solution? Or does it make you suicidal? What do you guys think that the majority, which one?
Well, let me tell you something. There's something to be said about heavy metal music and certain discordant riffs. Mm-hmm. And, it's been found by a lot of exorcists, too, that music, and I'm not attacking anybody's music or anybody's artist, but certain music where the basic tonality of the song is a heavy beat, like dun 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 dun. When you have a driving beat, and that is the basic sound quality of a song, it's not healthy for you because it stirs up a primordial urge that you cannot fulfill in your physical senses. It calls you to action. It calls you to do something right away. You don't even understand the discordant beat. Your mind cannot logically reason out what you're listening to. And you see a lot of kids today listening to the same beat over and over again. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the music that, like Insane Clown Posse, there's some and I'm not very familiar with heavy metal artists.
You mean besides, you mean ones that just had the tempo, or?
Some besides Queensryche.
No, I mean the fast tempo. Are you talking about the tempo, speed, and?
No, I'm talking about the driving beat that is over and over and over again.
The pattern?
To where, yes, exactly. Right, to where, you really don't have much of a bridge. The bridge consists of more of a driving beat. And I write music, so I understand the concept. A bridge is supposed to get you into a relaxed mode before it sings you back and lulls you into the story of the song. Music is just a story. And a lot of the songs and a lot of the heavy metal rock is screaming and guttural, and it's very visceral on such a visceral level that where's your brain to have to listen to some of that stuff?
When we went to clubs, not playing there, but like after we did a gig and they have a late night one going on, and you go there and they're playing the Not the slower stuff that just sounds like grinding, you know, dun, 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 dun. But the real fast stuff that they call it Slipknot. They call it speed metal. That stuff, you ought to see people. Remember the mosh pit and that kind of stuff? They call it a mosh pit. And
yeah, I don't know.
They jump off the stage, and then they, and everybody catches them, and everybody keeps jumping on, getting on the stage, and jumping into the crowd. They call it a mosh.
Yep.
Yeah, they just go crazy, and there's fights always breaking out in there. Sometimes bad ones, where people are grabbing chairs and knocking each other over the head. Actually, a place I played at had a band called, because it's not important who they're called, but they played that kind of music, and so when we were done and they played that, the people in the crowd got into fights, because, and I think it's the tempo, and we're talking about that with that. Those two girls that got charged for the Slender Man, and that the video game actually has a tempo that rises up and a beat pattern probably too, Farrah, because you're talking about certain types of beats, and it causes anxiety and the heart rate to accelerate and your sense of urgency and all of those emotions of anxiety and stress and the Slender Man's after me. I got to grab this real quick. Yeah. It's really unnerving, and so for some of these people, you mix drinks in there, in addition to it, and you got a firecracker ready to pop, in the least.
That's the adrenaline rush.
There you go. Thanks for that. That summarizes it.
Exactly.
Adrenaline's like a drug, and what are they doing with it? They're turning it into something negative. I mean, because eventually, they dance so crazy, eventually somebody's going to sock somebody in the face. This one guy, I swear, he was like a rock'em sock'em robot. That's the way he danced. And he'd move around kind of like all over the place. And I was like, when is he going to sock someone in the face when his arms go up and get somebody in an uppercut? And eventually they do. And then one guy, takes it the wrong way. Next thing you know, there's chairs flying. And it's like some old country bar, I always thought that was funny in rednecks. With that kind of music, and they end up in a fight anyway. Because imagine what they would do if they were speed metal.
He's talking about our old places again.
I know. Oh, jeez. Where's my frying pan?
What are we talking about? What?
He's talking about our old places again.
Exactly.
You didn't go to country bars, did you?
Oh, honey. You have no idea where my boots have been. You do not want to know.
These boots are made for walking, Ken.
I know. A couple of these scars on this hand, boy.
Music, You just went there just to be different.
No, I didn't have to. I went there for, the fun, food, the fights, the drinks.
The fights.
Yeah, we went there because we could.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like country music.
That's right.
I mean, it's like...
Yeah. Michael, you with me on this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like country music. Nah.
You can take the curl out of the cow.
But opera country music, yeah. Johnny's cool. I mean, that's when it was still rock and roll and it was starting.
Oh my gosh! Has anybody heard that Johnny Cash did that song by what was it? Oh my gosh! It was just so popular. Sound of Silence. Johnny Cash recorded that song.
Which
really?
one?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he recorded a couple of wild songs. I could not imagine that and of course Johnny Cash, there's another one, poor guy. He was like haunted to the grave, addicted totally.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, boy, battling those pills back and everything else.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, I don't think he sold his soul to the devil either. It's almost like sometimes you can kind of tell. And the devil did find a way to tax some of these guys one way or another. Probably for not singing his praises and all that stuff, Say, hey, if you're not one of us, you're going to be, if you're not with us, you're against us, that kind of thing. So let's take them out with the drugs or whatever. And that's what a lot of terrible tragedies, that cut the life of the rock and rollers' life short. Even John Belushi, who was multi-talented doing the Blues Brothers, and we even had the 8-track of it. My sister... bought that, a briefcase full of blues. Remember that? I'm a so mad. That was those were all cover tunes. And Jim died, born in 1950, died in 1982. Very funny guy. I still like the Samurai Delicatessen. Yeah. Dwayne Allman, 1971. That's pretty early. He died a long time ago. I don't know who Johnny Ace is. 1954, way before I was born. Mark Bolan, I think that was T-Rex, died 1977. Tommy Bolan, it was Richie Blackmore. Let's see, that's 1975. John Bonham, 1980. Tim Buckley, I don't know who that is right there. Karen Carpenter, of course, 1983. So she was only 30. A lot of them die when they're just like 30-something years old. Patsy Cline, of course, that was a plane crash. Let's talk about how their lives can be cut short. I remember Jim Croce, had a terrible car wreck, great singer, songwriter, 1973. I remember what I was doing when I heard that on the radio. That's funny the way it works, isn't it? Sam Cooke, Ian and King Curtis, probably not related. You know how that works.
So, Sarah, you said Johnny Cash did Sound of Silence. Did he re-record that? Or I always thought it was Simon and Garfunkel.
Maybe it was. I'm trying to think. He also did what? Ken, are you remembering that song we heard? Was it by Nirvana or? Oh my gosh, I like some really unusual bands. What's that?
9 Inch Nails.
Maybe it was a 9 Inch Nails song. I'm gonna probably have to Google it and PM it to you. But there was a really beautiful song that he did. Gosh, I wish I remembered the name of it now.
Yeah.
I'm having a 40s moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has just really, toward the end had just really stretched himself with really unusual rock songs that he's kind of slowed down and did his smoky, bluesy, country, just that deep voice,
Yeah.
He had such a gift.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and he just...
Yeah, there was a tribute album done. All of these artists got together, and he did their songs. And then the opposite happened. They turned around and they did a tribute album where they all did Johnny Cash's songs. But yeah, he did some of these ones that these other artists, like 9 Inch Nails, I think was one of them, and the one you're thinking of maybe even. And he turned it into his own.
Basically.
I don't remember the album, but he was very good at that. It's a shame. Some people, because of June and all, we didn't even know. We saw the movie Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix. And what's that other gal's name? It's a good movie, but they did hide some of the darker aspects.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I made you buy me that movie. That was excellent. Walk the Line.
If you buy the DVD, you get some of the deleted scenes.
Remind me of my parents.
But Jimi Hendrix died 1970. Buddy Holly.
Wasn't that Sissy Spacek?
No? Yeah, she did. She did coal miner's daughter, Loretta
That was
Lynn.
a good one too.
I think she's still living, Loretta Lynn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Tammy
you're right,
Wynette
coal
died a
miner's
long
daughter.
time ago. I think Tammy Wynette died in, I don't know, like 15 years ago or something. Johnny Horton.
Oh wait, we have something from the chat room. That was Reese Witherspoon. You're right,
Reese
Jen.
Witherspoon. Thanks, Jen. Leave it to Jen 80 with her cute little sea monkey to save the day.
Yeah, it's a good movie, that Walk the Line. It's great. I think she got an Academy Award for it. That's one.
And the sad thing is that, the movie was really, really good, and it portrayed them in a much better light than, a lot of things are very, very glossed in Hollywood, and their life was basically illustrated nicely. Their life was a lot more difficult. Their children remember it a lot rougher, and their addictions were a lot worse.
Yeah.
So you see, they had their own demons in their own way.
Big time, Deb. Big time.
So it's not all roses. What the public thinks it is.
Never.
They have their own struggles.
One of the first times that I really saw, shall I say, oppressions and demonics in music is years ago, probably about 36 years ago. And especially in, you think rock and roll is very tempting for musicians to say, I got to do this, I'll do anything. People don't realize when they shout that out, I'm going to give anything, you don't know who's listening. You don't know who's going to step in and say, oh, really, you want that? You never know. Even the saints question their sanity about who's talking to them. In the jazz genre, there's many famous jazz musicians, and we were talking a little bit about that in the chat room, how it's very, very tempting because it's so difficult as an artist to basically support yourself and support a family that it's easy to fall into drugs and bad habits and poor lovers, and just to try and get by, take any gig where, and this is probably why, I stopped singing with a band years ago. You end up singing the same thing over and over again. You end up watching the same people get drunk over and over again. And unless, for some reason, your talent stands out or you sell yourself in some way, you don't make that large income that will support a family and allow you to be creative and create more albums and create more songs. So I don't know how most people make it in the industry. And I also had somebody tell me, too, when I trained and got my voice to 3.5 octaves, and she'd also trained Gladys Knight and the Pips. She worked with Supremes. And she told me, she said, talent isn't enough. Talent will only get you so far.
And looks, apparently, too. Huh?
It's not good enough. You literally have to be willing to sell everything you've got. Do anything with what you've got. Sell your grandmother if you need to get the job, to get the look, to get the time into the agent's office. Yeah. So it's a place where you land in rock and roll is really determined by where, how, what, everything that you're willing to get rid of, to sell, to be what other people want.
Yeah.
And it's all based on emotion, like Deb was saying.
Overly strong emotions. And they can see that desire, and you brought up another good point that brings them back into Deb's story. Deb already had the devil and the details in her life so extreme, and I say this again, of all the cases that we're aware of, Deb was the most extreme case because we know all the details of it and how difficult it was, how it got there, how it still tries to come back and haunt them today, how it affected the family as a whole on such a major level. So you already have it. It's already drawn in there. It's already had a dominance in her life. And it didn't tell you back then that it was going to get revenge on you somehow, Deb?
Yes, it did. Mm-hmm. And it's a battle I battle every day, Ken. Public doesn't know this, but I have to maintain and keep down the fort every day.
Oh, Deb.
It's not an easy battle. I don't talk about it. I don't discuss it because to me, this is my life. This is what I need to do. I have to keep on top of things.
Yeah.
I can never let my guard down because I know what to expect. And I'm not going to cave and I'm not going to give in.
Deb was the oldest in her family, and she's a tough cookie. I think that's something you and Farrah got in common, too. She's pretty tough for a chick.
I can only do this through prayer, Ken.
Yeah, that's right. Look what happened. We were watching something the other day, and they were talking about the what they call the 100-Year War.
Yeah.
In France, and guess who stopped the 100-Year War? A 15-year-old named Joan of Arc.
Who also got burned to death for it.
Last year, Farrah, remember?
Yep.
The say that you gave me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That would have worked if you hadn't come back with it the second time. No, I don't remember the details. I just produced the show on that one. I didn't intend it, so to speak. All these kind of things. This is a bit of an interesting point, but a food thinker. When Ed Warren was talking about the Amityville case, and he made reference to George Lutz, who lost the money that his brother-in-law was getting married, and he was the best man, and so he had to cater his money, $5,000 in an envelope. It was in his vest pocket. he never found it again when it just magically disappeared. Ed Warren made this reference. This is true. He said, I known of Satanists who never worked a day in their life. And from things like this. So if you have a demonic infestation, a demonic will have a way of bringing money to the person so they don't have to work a day in their life.
Yeah.
And another reference to this, you guys remember the comic books? You know, it doesn't matter which one you have, even Archie. And they always had this creepy page that said witchcraft. It looked like melted candles making up the text.
Yep.
It was Gavin Frost. And guess what city that you sent your interest in witchcraft coupon to from your comic books, from your Archie comics in the 70s and whatever? Went to Salem, Missouri, which is about 2 hours from here.
Wow.
In there, Gavin Frost talked about things like the money jar. You do this ritual, you know, satanic ritual, and money will appear in a jar. Where's it come from?
Yeah.
George Lutz's pocket. You know, whoever. You know, and the same thing in rock and roll, if you look into this stuff, there's people out there who wrote a song, didn't even submit it, and then somebody comes up with it. And some of them thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, someone beat you to it, and it was a great idea, and just those things, because there's so many thousand musicians. But I submit to you this following.
Oh, no.
That it's possible that these ideas, because we know by the nature of demons, Farrah, we hear about them talking about all the time, they lost their creativity when they fell from grace. They don't have creativity. They have to steal. They have to lie. They have to manipulate. That they would borrow just as they take money from a struggling musician, or what they call like a magician, musician, and totally steal their song and then give it to one of their own. In the same way that they steal, money or whatever, and then conjure money. It comes from somewhere. They don't conjure money out of thin air. It's like just like out of a printing press. And this is what we've learned personally, and of course it's supported by Aquinas and people who followed him since, Father Chad Rippinger. Speaking of Aquinas and Jordan Allman's book, which reiterated Aquinas in more of a layman's term.
Yeah.
So the activity of, the diabolical. So it's been known for a very long time. Aquinas going way back, Renaissance and so forth. But it's an interesting idea. You might be a great songwriter and you never really get off the ground, and you have Satanists stealing from you because the demons are bringing their inspiration is coming from you and other struggling musicians. Anyway, that's some food for thought. I think that's probably true, because since we know they can do the same thing by stealing your income, I'm not going to get into politics again.
Kristen was sitting here saying, speaking of magicians, Chris Angel was injured during a stunt. He seems to be okay, but yeah, she just read that he's running into problems. We're actually going to do a show about magic and probably see if we can steal Michael away from his pattern cutting.
You have to speak to a higher authority on that one.
I can pray, and guess what? My knees got plenty of practice today. I'm really good with an email, okay?
Yeah. We know somebody else. It's amazing the way Jimmy Page was, not amazing for the diabolical, opened his doors. This kid, he doesn't even know how to play guitar, and suddenly he does. They know somebody who, it's like they have that ability. And they probably even had a spirit says someone's on the way, or someone's going to call you. People that are involved in the dark arts. In the same way, Farrah and Deb. But we got to kind of re-emphasize the fact, don't sell your soul for a short period of life. You don't even know when it's going to end. And anytime you get, that the motto of Satan is, oh, by the way, I didn't play Eagles Hotel California. That's just too obvious, isn't it? Because it was talking about the Hotel California. On the forward side, how much better is it going to be when you flip it over? Hotel California.
See that, Ken? When you sell your soul to the devil, that's the element of surprise. You never know when it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it could take you at any time. Only by God's grace. And we don't know when you're... Yep. That you don't have enough brownie points for God to send an angel to protect you. That's what it is. God doesn't take you out. And there's lies that the demonic side will tell you in Satanism and so forth, like how poor Satan got kicked out of heaven. It was all just a misunderstanding. God thought that Satan stole his car, and it wasn't him. He didn't sell it to the guy. That was Satini. I forgot. I got the two stories mixed up. The Satini brothers. Yeah, in New York. They had a chop shop. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't kid about such things. That's something else we're probably going to hear from the critic.
Speaking about chopping, it's time to chop it off. Everybody needs to go to bed.
Everybody needs to go to bed. Okay, well.
And you know what? He's not playing the Eagles, Fiddy. I am not going to let him play the Eagles backwards. I'm not going to cry before I go to bed.
Life in the fast lane. Here you go. Here it is.
No.
Never go to bed.
But you know what? All of these wonderful, fabulous people. Ow! Need to be reminded. Guess what? I know. Stop it! I'm gonna stick your finger in your little mouse and show it who's boss.
Okay, be nice.
All right.
People think you don't like me anymore.
Well, I love you. I don't have to like you.